Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. This is Data, and with me today is
Dak
and Joe. No Jaymee this week. Everybody can turn the podcast off now.
there was a baby who needed mommy today, so we are three. That's okay. We'll survive probably.
Three amigos.
We're three men and no baby.
This week we read The Lost Metal, chapters 11 through 16. So 6 more chapters for this week. It's a good number of chapters, but some of them were quite short, especially which one? The second one, especially the one where, I guess I should say, wherein these chapters we get back to the mansion. We find out who's staying at the mansion and cooking yummy treats full time. Wayne gets dumped. I think that's the short chapter, is the Wayne dumping. We meet Renette's girlfriend finally, and the bowler hat fellows who have been trying to chase Wayne down. Also, there's some experimentation happening in the basement of the mansion. So all sorts of little interesting things happening in these chapters. Some happy, some sad. So hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
Truly outlast all the mistakes of his past. There's no haven here for me that's safe from my memories. But when your borrowed time is through, I'll be with you.
Variety of things happening. Wayne's not in the best mood, but what did you guys think of these 6 chapters?
Again, a lot of fun. I like how much we've just hit the ground running in this book, but I guess considering we're getting quite a few chapters to read each time, it's just like we're getting so much more information at once. That might just feel like it's moving a lot faster. So there's that. I really like what's going on. I love the experimenting chapter down in the basement of the lab. Like, I love watching people do shit like that all the time. Yeah, I think we were once at the pub just watching some musician play, and there was a guy at the table in front of us who was sketching like the singer. And I'm just like, I was more interested in watching the dude sketching because I'm just like, I was fascinated. That's the same sort of feeling I get watching Wax and Steris do their experiments, and they've got all the aprons and the goggles, and Steris has put up the OH&S sign in the corner that you have to follow, and like shit. Like I lapped that shit up. Really good to see Alec again. Nice to see that he's did what most people did in quarantine and took up baking. But it makes sense. They got chocolate, and he's just like yeah, try my profiteroles. And like, I don't know. I love this guy. He's really cool. The Wayne stuff, I did notice on Instagram, someone said like they will accept no Wayne slander from Dak this book. We'll just say, don't worry, no Wayne slander whatsoever. Because it's not slander if it's true. Hi-oh. But no, in all honesty, like the Wayne stuff was interesting this time. I did get the sense like where he's decided to stop going and bothering Oriendry. It seems a lot similar to the last book where he decides he's not going to pursue Renette anymore. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to stop doing this thing because it's the right thing to do. And it's like, maybe that should have occurred to them earlier, but oh well. But I think the situation with Wayne is summed up perfectly when he's talking to Renette and Renette's girlfriend. Like, and Renette says, okay, he's not as bad as I say he is, but he's not as good as you say he is either. I feel like that's probably where we are with Wayne right now. As a character, he's not as bad as I make him out to be. And look, I don't hate the guy. I know it sounds like I do because I'm constantly harping on, but that's just because the things I don't like about him seem to get the most focus over the good stuff. So there was that. But I thought, that was fun, and it was interesting to see inside his head and just see him trying to take steps to improve himself.
Yeah, it's nice to see that, and he really didn't want to, it didn't seem like, but he managed to take their advice to heart, and even just that much seems like some good growth for Wayne.
Yeah.
And it was sad about, he's not having his best day to begin with.
I mean, he got called the best shag by the blob monster in 700 years, so...
Yeah, he's like, that helps. And she's like, yeah, I thought it might.
Yeah, these chapters were good. I did enjoy them. I agree with Dak. I think my favorite parts are definitely the experiment parts, the Wax and Steris relationship, even in like work and play and life. It's just like and I think this is the kind of person that Wax needs, which is kind of why she grew into this role over time, and he came to realize after the fact that he really appreciated her. It's like he needs a partner that's like into all the stuff, right? And she even brings some things out in him that are probably better than he would do it, if he did it his way on his own.
Mhm.
All the things that she's adding are very helpful to him, and I think it's a kind of a nice moment. It's almost like I don't know. I almost see Brandon's personal touch in this moment. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but this just seemed like a scene that Brandon was like, I want to write this because I don't know, this scene specifically, the experimentation stuff, it almost seemed like something he could have written about himself, experimenting with like dishes in the kitchen with his wife or something. It just seemed very personal and personable. And then you have all the friends over, and Alex he's basically invented chocolate chip cookies, which was fun. And so, yeah, that was a really cool moment. And all the Wayne stuff, yeah, I mean, it was kind of sad at the beginning, but I think even more than the Renette and Jaxie stuff, I really liked the part where he goes to the accountants and he's coming up with all of these basically he thinks are bad ideas, but are probably going to end up being really good ideas that make him even more money. And so it's just one of those things that you kind of like, he's like an idiot savant. He just stumbles into these ridiculous things where he ends up basically making all this money and he doesn't really want to make money. So it's very, very kind of interesting, fun little piece here. And I feel like this chunk of chapters went really well together. Of course, I don't know what the next chapter is going to be, but I really enjoyed this. I'm super excited to find out more about Trillium. I'm ready for Wax to talk to Harmony, so I'm excited to see what comes next for sure.
Yeah, you think Wax is gonna actually talk to Harmony? He seems so hesitant.
I
Or
mean,
so
he said
pissy, really.
he said he was going to do it twice in this chunk of chapters. I wouldn't imagine he'd keep saying it and then not end up doing it, even if
It would
he's
be
not
weird if
super
we went
thrilled
this
about
whole
it.
book. If we went this whole book and he didn't actually do it, that'd be kind of
Yeah,
weird.
he'd be like, yeah, that's right. He like mentions it every two chapters, like, oh yeah, I need to talk to Harmony. Nah, never mind.
Yeah, I just don't wanna.
Yeah, I don't think that's probably not going to be the case.
What do you think Harmony's gonna have to say?
Well, I assume he's going to ask him about the Trillium, if that's what he needs to make the earring out of, because that's what I had predicted, since it was the only unknown metal that had shown itself in the entire book thus far. And so, yeah, I mean, that would be my guess, is that he's going to ask him about that. Maybe he's going to ask him about separating harmonium into the two metals. Of course, we're kind of left on a cliffhanger in our section about what's going to happen with that. So
It's true. It's all the cliffs to hang from. Okay, I guess. Sorry. I guess let's get into these chapters. So we start out with Wax returning home to his ancestral manor, Ladrian Mansion. And Steris has a death grip on him while they're flying, just as usual. But she also is enjoying it the whole time. And so yeah, they go in, and apparently Alec is just like living here in the mansion.
He
And also
pays his rent in baked goods.
apparently they're very good baked goods. So I guess it works out.
yeah. He's in the kitchen going, Alex gonna die the way he lived.
We made jokes last book about him becoming like running a bakery with Marisai or something. And
Did we?
yeah, we totally did. And I
remember jokes about like the chocolate empire that Marisai would build. I don't remember a bakery specifically.
Yeah, because there was a whole thing about like Marisai should run the shop and he'll be in the back. I made a joke about him in the back baking cookies or whatever because
Okay.
I had read this, but
Oh, I see. Injecting your foreknowledge into the past. What a jerk.
Coloring our expectations.
Yeah, I didn't think he was making cookies, but then I read this and I was like, oh, he's making cookies.
so it didn't color what you thought at all, is what you're saying.
Maybe
I
not. We'll
guess.
still blame you for it.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I like when Jamie's not here. We can gang up on him.
Yeah, because that stops you. Okay, so since space at the penthouse is so tight, they keep their hobbies here. Steris has 3 rooms for her ledgers, notebooks, and catalogs, which she looks through in her spare time. That's very Steris.
Sure.
I'm so bad at looking at alerts on Instagram. Sorry, Zach quoted that person on Instagram who had mentioned that no slandering Wayne this book.
Yeah, I'd
And so
seen that as well.
I went back to look at who that was and what exactly they had said, which he got the quote pretty much exactly right. But and then it turns out that same person, it was like so and so mentioned you in their Instagram story, but you can only see stories that day, so I have no idea what she said.
Oh, bummer.
Whoever that was, please fill us in.
The
sorry.
Sanderlanche.
I'm sorry, I'm just so bad at actually checking alerts.
Data's not savvy with social media unless it's Discord.
Well, and we also sometimes get messages on our Instagram, people wanting to talk to me about various inside jokes and stuff that or other stuff that people are posting, and sometimes it'll seriously be like a week before I notice it and send something back, or this last time it may have been like 3 weeks before I was like, oh yeah, and respond to this person. So yes, I'm sorry that I'm so bad at Instagram. Okay, sorry. Back to the actual thing. It's interesting that Wax has this, like, he says it's not quite a shrine because one of the people isn't dead, but it's like his Ruff's outfit and Leslie's Ruff's outfit just kind of have their special place where they hang in the mansion, so that to be remembered basically. And as it turns out, this his coat here is, as we find out, the spot where Wayne put that half a meat bun or whatever that he traded for Wax's badge.
Yeah, that.
Which I'm glad that he found it at least, because it was already smelling bad apparently.
He says it's gone moldy at one point.
I'm surprised Alec hadn't found it. Maybe Alec's like, oh, maybe it's in here for a reason. I'm not gonna mess with that Allomancer stuff.
He's like, oh, well, the master Allomancer must have a reason for having a moldy meat bun.
Yeah, obviously.
It has to do with one of his experiments, no doubt.
And we get a description of Alec's new mask. It's bright red with flakes of yellow paint radiating from the center. So he looks like a sunrise or something in a red sky.
It's his happy I'm dating a girl mask.
Oh, see, there you go. He's a happy dude. And he says, hey, the new batch is almost done. And Wax is like, I'm not here because I'm hungry, but you'll still eat, yeah? And Wax is like, yeah. And so Alec has an official title as Junior Goodwill Ambassador to the Basin. And basically it's because he was the one willing to come and live here on a semi-permanent basis, which after he spent 2 years taking coincidental trips up here all the time to see Marisai, he decided to just stay.
I like that. He comes all the way from the south. He's like, yeah, I just wanted to come into town coincidentally.
Yeah, nothing special, just hanging out.
Yeah. Hey, Marisai, you wanna do something?
You just what a weird coincidence. You're here also, and I'm here. Maybe we should be somewhere together.
Right, with chocolate, plenty of chocolate.
Yeah, that's how you get her. Yeah, and here he finds the old half a meat bun in his pocket of this mist coat, and then a big dog comes out, and the dog's like, "Hey, did you bring Max?" And it turns out the dog is Melan, and she was dressed up in a dog body to play fetch with Max. So Max just likes fetch. Doesn't matter if it's his dad, it's a dog, whatever.
So we listened to the audiobook for these chapters, and I don't listen to a lot of audiobooks, and like the more I've listened to ones for this series, I'm just like, I don't know if they're really my thing. I probably wouldn't do them on a regular basis, because the bloke reading it, Michael Kramer, is that his name?
Yes, it's Michael Kramer.
Yeah, when he's doing Melan's voice, I'm like, I looked at Jameson, did he always do Melan's voice like this? And she said, I don't remember. It sounds like he's trying very hard to do a low, seductive voice. And I'm just like, whoa, this is weird.
I've never listened to it, so I will believe you.
Yeah. Also, Steris sounded a lot like William Shatner, so.
Interesting.
Well, it's like I get what he was going for was like a very sharp, precise words as she spoke, which I get. But because he put the emphasis on certain syllables here and there, it sounded very Shatnerish.
Just like, Wax, I want to know about the thing. I don't know. I can't even think of something.
Now I'm gonna imagine Sarah's a Shatner, and it's unfortunate. I used to like her so much. And Melan has an interesting note that the body you're wearing has an influence on you. She's like, it's hard to explain, but it's like if you get all dressed up in a fancy gown, you want to dance, which Wax is also not going to understand that explanation probably. And so, yeah, she's got the dog's body on, and she's like, I kind of feel like playing fetch, but I guess not. And they've given Maelon a whole room at the mansion to keep her bones and bodies and hair and nails and all that other stuff she needs, which, I mean, I guess it's nice for her to have a place. Yeah. It's nice that they not only have room for their hobbies, but they can give their friends some rooms to use also. So I wonder if Maelon just like hangs out around them all the time now, or if she's always off on missions for Harmony and it's just occasionally here.
I don't know. It sort of makes it sound like she just was always hanging around.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
For Wayne, at least up until today.
It's always bad to be around on breakup day.
Yeah, you want to be somewhere else. And then, of course, Wayne comes in and Steris immediately. He's like, could you not track mud all through the house every time? And he's like, be glad it's just mud, because you would not believe some of the places we've been in today. And Marisai's like, yeah, whatever. Look what we got. And Max's like, oh my gosh, you got one? How? And I like Wayne saying, like, we found this guy. Fortunately, he didn't have any use for the spike once Marisai was finished with him. And she's like, well, I mean, he had a use for it. That's why I had to rip it out. But
yeah. Wax sounds like my friend when I was like, hey, man, look at my PS5. He's like, whoa, you got one? How?
And so apparently this was not the first time that they've encountered somebody from the set with more powers than they should be able to have. And at first Wax is like, no way. But she's now confirmed it because she ripped the spikes out herself. So must have something to do with this being placed as some sort of linchpin, he says. And it's interesting to me that, like, you read this and he says, or he's thinking that about these Trellium spikes and what had happened with Lessie or Palm or Bleeder or whatever you want to call her. And the Khandra say that the spikes, the Trellium spike wasn't to blame. But in the last book, Harmony pretty specifically indicates otherwise, that it was that spike. He's talking about like the spike that even if you removed it would have left her permanently damaged or whatever. He says something like that. And that bugged me when I first read this paragraph, reading through this book, that the Khandra are like, no, that wasn't to blame. And I'm like, yes, it was. Harmony said so. But then later, I think we have that same conversation with the Khandra who shows up. So I was like, oh, okay, as long as the book acknowledges that the same issue is happening.
Yeah, Wax brings it up with Vendel. He's like, I'm pretty sure Harmony said that was it.
Yeah, Vendel's like, nuh-uh. And Wax is like, well, Harmony said. And Vendel's like, well, I mean, whatever. But it's like, can't argue with Harmony.
Now, I know you work for God, but how often does he talk to you? He hasn't called me in months.
And so we talk about, I don't remember if we actually established that this metal was called harmonium previously, or I think we heard the et metal term before, maybe.
We'd heard et metal because that was like in the last book they mentioned it as like the fuel or whatever.
Yeah.
For the airships, and Alec was just like, no, don't get that wet. And it's like, metal doesn't explode when it gets wet. Dude, this one does. Shut up. But I'm pretty sure this is the first mention of harmonium.
So yeah, this is Harmony's metal. It is very unstable, presumably because of Harmony's status holding these two opposed powers of ruin and preservation. It makes his power kind of unstable, and the resulting metal is also very unstable in that it explodes when you get it wet. Also, if we were, and we may have talked about it before, but if we were following the naming scheme of adium and lauracium, this would actually be called sasdium. But I think
this is like maybe Say's, like he was always a pretty humble guy. He's like, no, don't put my real name on that. Put my screen name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like me going by data on here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's Stadium.
But I think Brandon was asked about it and was basically like, yeah, Sazed didn't think that Sazedium sounded very good, so he went with harmonium instead.
Yeah. By Sazed, he means himself.
Well, I mean, like I watched that video from the con where he's talking, and he pronounced it Sazed.
That's a popular pronunciation of it.
And Sazedium actually isn't too bad.
That's a good point. Sazedium, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So I'll chalk it up to like Say's just like no, I feel awkward going into like I don't like to talk about my history.
Right.
Maelon comes back out dressed in an androgynous look that she seems to be going for more and more these days. Which we find out later Wayne is like, yeah, she's hot, but she's always hot, regardless of basically what she looks like.
Which I feel like that is something to Wayne. He's very much the sort of guy who's like, like when he likes someone, he sees the person inside. He doesn't give a shit what they look like. He very much just like, I like you for you.
Yep, I believe that about Wayne.
Yep. I feel like there's pressure on me. It's like, I got to say nice things about Wayne.
Yeah,
Nah.
our Instagram friend will get you.
Well, I feel like she's probably indicative of the general feeling out there, because there have been a few emails out about it as well. I'm just like, do I harp on about this too much? Maybe I should just like, I'm not at a Joe and Spook level with Wayne.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be nice. I mean, they're fictional characters. Who cares if we're nice to them?
I know. It's like, I don't want to lose listeners. Man, fuck this guy.
Everyone needs to find somebody to hate on the show. Joe's got Spook. I feel like Jaymee had Allrianne.
Yep.
So Dak can have Wayne. It's fine. Jaymee didn't like right away was not a fan of Allrianne from word one. So I don't blame her though. I wasn't either. So
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So okay. Melan is impressed that they got this spike, and Wayne's like, yeah, Marisai turned some bloke into hamburger to get it. And Melan's like, nice, which is they're so perfect for each other. It's hilarious.
Melan's probably just like, did you save me some?
And then Wax pops in like, speaking of meat, did you put a meat bun in my mist coat? I have to get that laundered now. And Wayne's like, you don't got no proof I did that. I know my rights. Marisai is always quoting them to people once we finish beating them up. I get a trial by my peers, I do, and Steris is just like right there with the comeback. But where would we find so many slugs on short notice?
Oh, got him.
And apparently Wayne and Steris like
roasted.
get along better these days. Like this is like a friendly, insulting sort of thing, which that's nice.
Given what we knew of their previous relationship, I'd really like to know how we got to this point.
I suspect, and I don't. There's no support as far as I know for this, but I suspect that what happens is at some point. Maybe it was even in the last book when Wax is like, Wayne, that's enough. I think at some point after Wax married her, Wayne had to accept, okay, she's going to be here. She's part of the group now. And we kind of talked about before, Brandon had said that like Wayne basically has this thing. Once you're in with him, you are in forever. And he'll do anything for you. But like if he sees you as not one of the crew, then, you're out. And so I think at some point, that switch flipped for Wayne, where it was like, okay, she's in now. Like Wax is married to her. They love each other. Maybe it was after she had Max or something, but.
Oh, you know what? It's totally after they had Max, because Wayne would love being the cool uncle. Mm-hmm. And if he pissed off Steris, he knows he would get like uncle rights revoked and he would never see Max again. So he's like, I got to be nice to Steris or else I don't see the boy, which I totally get that.
And I think as soon as Wayne begins to be like a decent human being to Steris, that she is the kind of person who's immediately gonna be like, return that olive branch and be like, okay, yeah, we can, because she wanted like a better relationship there from the beginning. He was always the one that was just like shitting on her constantly.
Yeah.
And so Wax realizes that this is what Harmony was talking about. This is the other metal that he wants him to make an earring out of. And that was the theory that you guys had, was that Trillium was probably the metal that was going to show up. But once again, it's like, is that really a good idea? And Wax kind of has the same thought, like, why would Harmony want me to do that? And then he thinks like, damn, Harmony knows me too well. A mystery is a way better way to get my attention. And so Marisai mentions like, hey, Melan, we could use your help. We got a corpse that needs to walk around for a little bit. And Melan's like, I got a thing. It's a thing on another planet, actually. Or maybe between planets. I'm not really sure. Harmony wants us to get out there and learn about the Cosmere, because it's become evident that the Cosmere knows about us, which, yeah, that's a good call.
Bum, bum, bum.
And she kind of tries to explain about the other world. It's an inversion of the real world and so on. And we know because we were there in Secret History. And then Alec bursts in with cinnamon puffs with hot chocolate for dipping.
Which, holy fuck, did this make me hungry.
Cinnamon puffs.
And I like that he gives Marisai a comically large mug of hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Just picturing one of those like liter glasses.
So apparently they were flirting for 4 years and now have been dating for 2. And they still act like school kids sometimes, which Wax knows more than he wants to about, because Steris takes notes and then asks if she should be acting like that. Oh, it's very Steris, but I could see Wax being like, oh, this is awkward.
It's like, no, we're married. We have kids. We've had sex. Like, that's not really. I'm not into that. Thanks.
we go to the lab and blow shit up together. Like, why do you need to ask us, like, should I
Yeah.
pop my leg every time we kiss? I'm like, no.
Yeah, like how much more fun can we have? We blow shit up,
Yep, that's as romantic as it gets.
right?
I mean, if she gets to, record the size of the explosion, she loves it.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever blow something up without me, I'm gonna be pretty pissed. This is him saying it to her, not her saying it to him, because he does that all the time.
And I like Wax knows that he's going to have some potentially dangerous experiments. So he's like, "Hey Wayne, how much health you got? Just in case, I might need some help." And Wayne says, "Sorry, mate, I got an appointment." And Malon's like, "Hey Wayne, can you?" And he tries to get out of it. She's like, "This is kind of important." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then Wax is like, "I'm gonna need my goggles." I can just see his eyes lighting up, like, "Oh man, I get to use my goggles."
Again, when that line comes out, I'm like, that's Brand.
Well, I mean, we did sort of get a brief moment of this way back in Alloy of Law before the butler blew the house up, didn't we? Like,
Yes, yeah.
Like Wax
His
got to do
metallurgy.
his metallurgy stuff, and he was like a little kid with cake.
Yep.
Like, he's like, this is my best day in years, and like then
This
he
is
didn't
the
really get to see it in the
best
last couple
day
books.
ever.
And the U.S. cover of Alloy of Law has him like with the steampunk goggles around his neck, so it just it fits.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's after 2 books where we didn't get to see him, like, we saw him having fun, but this one he just gets downright giddy.
It's true. And like Steris is participating in this, and it's just they're like so adorable together. We'll get there in a minute, but
Yeah.
In chapter 12 we get a Wayne perspective where he's like, sometimes Wayne pretended to be a hero, but it was hard to do that lately when the truth was staring at him in the face. He'd made a career out of pretending. People thought it was just a talent. They never asked what he was hiding from, which I never thought about it like that either. So I can't talk, but geez. I mean, we know that Wayne has, his demons or whatever, but it's kind of sad that that's the way he's looking at it, where he's like, all of the everything that I do is to try to hide from this.
Yeah, it's sad.
And she just comes out and tells him, like, "Sorry, it's over, Wayne. I tried to prepare you for it, but it was probably more painful to string it out." And he's like, "I don't know. I never had my heart broke before." Wayne's not happy. She's not happy. And he's like, I know you got to do your thing. And they have a real depressing to me conversation where he's just like, I mean, we were together for 6 years. Was that nothing for you? And she's like, it wasn't nothing. It's just it wasn't for me what it was for you. Tensoon warned me, Ulam warned me, mortals see time differently.
Yeah. It is a sad conversation, but at the same time, I feel like it's very well handled. You don't want to give, at least this is how I've always felt in the situation, you don't want to give another person kind of a hope or even like a hint that you're leading them on in a situation like this. It's like, she's explaining like what this was for you. It wasn't the same thing for me, and I'm sorry about that. Like, but I can't feel the same way that you felt about it because we exist on different, on different time schedules, frames. Like, it could never be for me what it is for you. And I've drawn it out too long already. Like, it's just not going to work. Like, she's letting him down. She's maybe being a little harsh, but she's also not giving him any false hope of like, that this could work out maybe later, but not now. Like, she's saying, nah, like it needs to end. So I actually did think that it was done pretty well.
I think they both handled this pretty maturely. Even Wayne, who's not known for his maturity, handles this about as well as I think we could have expected from him.
Yeah, and I feel like Milan probably also knew the right things to say to not send him off the deep end a bit. Like the thing about, you were the best lay I ever had. It's like can't believe you just said that, but it's very much she, like, whether or not it's true, like, I can believe that she was saying it honestly. But it seemed like the sort of things, like, she knew saying that would give him something that's like, it's not going to make him think there's still a chance, but it also give him something to just laugh about and he wouldn't feel as bad, I guess.
Yeah. Wayne in particular, that's very helpful to him. When in a moment where she's like, you're the best lay I've ever had in 700 years. And he's like, oh man, that really helps. And she goes, yeah, I thought it might. But not to skip over her talk about her mission. She's going to cross the misted unknown. the dark vastness that Harmony called Shadesmar. Have we heard the term Shadesmar before? I don't recall.
I feel like we have somewhere. Maybe
It may have come up in Secret History.
Yeah, if we have, I don't remember it, but it's been a long time since we read that.
It's a term that pops up here and there throughout the different books, and it's just another name for like the cognitive realm. But she says she'll be the first conjurer to go out there long term with an official mission, which I guess implies that there have been conjure out there either short term and or with unofficial missions. So maybe there's some conjure that just ran off and they're hanging out there somewhere. And she's going to help those in need, entire peoples in need. So that's nice. But after she leaves, Wayne goes back to his sort of self-reflection. He wasn't wearing a hat, so he has to be himself, the true him, the one that knows this and the pain of knowing what he really was, the pain of being worthless. Which Wayne. And then we cut back to a more cheery scene of Wax and Steris and Marasai going down into the basement, which has had some modifications made. It's been reinforced. It's been set up with every sort of thing that you could think of for his metallurgy lab. There's microscopes and acids and burners and a forge and an anvil room. And he can do some electrolysis. And so I like that Steris hands him his apron, his very thick, like it says almost like a flak jacket sort of apron to protect his nice vest that he's wearing. And he also thinks like, I apparently threw my cravat aside somewhere. I don't know where that went. And then in a minute, it references that Steris has actually picked up his cravat and is like putting it away for him. They compliment one another so well. And Marasai's just standing there like, you guys are adorable, which I 100% agreed with in this moment. So I was like, not that you weren't just being all lovey-dovey with your boyfriend, but still. And Wax and Steris look at each other and it's like, okay, whatever. And I like Steris says she should get her eyesight checked. And then says, Marasai, dear, I have goggles with corrective lenses arranged in the drawers to your right. Which that is so Steris to me that it's this like weird level of consideration where in all likelihood she and Wax are going to be generally the only people here and almost certainly the only people needing goggles. Who else is going to be around for your experiments most of the time? But it's not just that like she has corrective lenses that fit, maybe Marasai in particular. She has a whole range of corrective lenses just in case there's a guest here that they need to provide goggles with corrective lenses for.
Yeah, I feel like Steris would be like excellent at running like a fancy hotel. It's like all the amenities you could ever think of, anything you think you might need. It's like, yes, they have that.
Yep, I agree. She could totally run like a resort or something.
I honestly caught myself wondering, did she get a custom mask made for Alec with protective goggles built into the eye holes maybe? Because he's always around.
Yeah.
I could totally see her doing that.
I don't know if I don't know what it may be taboo to have somebody else like making a mask for you to wear sometimes or something. I don't know what the custom around that is, but yeah, I could totally see the same thing. Or maybe just some goggles that would fit well like over a mask.
Yeah.
And I love the sign. I almost want this sign where it says goggles required, and then someone has written in crayon, Sep Wayne. And for some reason, like Marasai goes, like stuff happens like explosions, and Steris' response is my favorite line here for some reason. She's like, not just explosions, acid spills, fires, accidental weapons discharge, though I suppose that one is technically a subset of explosion. Which I was like, I mean, she's right. That is a subset of explosions, but I just love that line for some reason. And so Wax is already running some tests. He's doing like a scratch test with various substances, and this Trellium is extremely hard, just above a 9 on his scale, scratched by diamond, but barely marks corundum. But it's brittle. Harmonium, he says, is nearly as pliable as gold, but this is a brittle metal. And then they try to melt it, but the melting point is over 2,500 degrees. And she says, so similar to harmonium. So apparently they're both very difficult to melt. And they have another melter that runs an electrical current through it to get it even hotter, and that still doesn't melt the Trellium.
What do you call a metal that's unmeltable?
I don't know if there is such a thing, so I don't know that there's a name for it.
No, there's not like an element in our world that can't be melted.
Not that I know of. I mean, I think that like any matter can change state if you're putting it at a high or low enough temperature, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Let's see. Is there an unmeltable metal?
Melt man. The power
to melt.
For some reason, I'm just picturing two dudes with this giant block of metal lugging it up the side of a volcano, and they just like lob it into the lava, and they watch it sink. And one of them looks at the other and goes, "Do you reckon it melted?" And the other one's like, "Well, I'm not fucking going in to pick it up and find out." I don't know why that popped into my head.
Let's see. This is an article from 2015. According to scientists at Brown University, a precise combination of hafnium, nitrogen, and carbon could withstand a trip down to the outer edges of the Earth's core. Computer simulations revealed that the material would have a higher melting point than the next closest substance by 200 kelvins.
So it does melt. It's just very hot.
Very, very hot, yeah. So we say theoretically because it would need to survive the inferno that is the sun's corona, 900,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
The power of molten lava.
The power of the sun. Yeah, that's true. Ash mounts. Who's melting what now with ash mounts,
And so Steris says, Tensoon says that the metals are the bodies of divinities, and that they were the source of the mists back in the day. And Wax is like, wait. So why didn't everyone's lungs burn if I can heat this to over 3,000 degrees without it liquefying?
Point of order here. Steris has spoken to Tensoon, or has Tensoon written something that she's gotten a hold of, or what was that conversation like?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like apparently these guys are just chatting regularly. I mean, Meilon lives here. Maybe Tensoon comes by and has some hot chocolate too. Who knows?
Meilon, do you want to see if Tensoon wants to come around for dinner? Well, he's guarding the underground still. Like, yeah, but doesn't he want to see daylight every once in a while? I guess.
Maybe he shows up as a dog also.
I want some kibble.
Classic Tensoon.
Oh, did he autograph Max's Sunni cub?
Oh, man, that'd be great.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Put that on eBay. Steris theorizes that maybe these metals, unlike normal metals, don't change states based on temperature, but based on something else. Which, I mean, she's right. That seems like the only explanation because, we talked about back in the original trilogy how like the mist was supposed to be part of like the body of preservation, but when you say body in terms of a shard of like a god, it has sort of a different meaning than what we would normally think of as body. Because also when the holder died, a normal body drops down into the ash, right? So it's not the same thing, but it's kind of the same thing. It's it's the representation of the shard on the physical plane or the physical realm. So I don't know, because like Lerasium was also like a representation of preservation in the physical realm, right? So
yeah,
metal and mist both at the same atmospheric pressure, temperature, all that. So
it's god magic.
Weird. Yeah, exactly.
Also, I don't remember, for Hero of Ages, when Ruin spent all that time looking for his body, do we make any jokes about how the body must have run off with Richard Nixon?
I don't remember doing that, but we should have, right?
We totally should have. That's right in our wheelhouse.
Oh, gosh.
Haru! As you can see, I have a shiny new body.
One made of a god metal called atium.
Nixon's back!
What is it? Real... Oh, no, I'm thinking of the Lincoln. Real evil simulated Lincoln is back!
Yep. So, I despite the fact that, yeah, it's just like, it's magic. Who knows how it worked. I love it when they're trying to science things out, when they're trying to figure out how the actual rules of how all this stuff works. Those are some of my favorite scenes in the book, these where they're down here. And it's not just that they're having fun and they're cute together and all this, but I like this. I like this approach to the world in this book.
Well, it's a really fun way of establishing the lore for the overall story. Like, we're doing it by, it's not just people talking to each other and filling each other in. This is the characters doing something that they genuinely enjoy doing and they're having fun. It's like a cute little couple's date they have, but they're also using that to expand the lore and increase our knowledge of the Cosmere at large. So it's very well done.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that if Jaymee were here today, I suspect that she would also be a fan of like the CSI portion of the book.
I believe she said that was the case. Yes. She we were listening to the audiobooks. She definitely laughed at every time Steris got a burn in on someone, whether it was like Wayne with the slugs or Marasai with the corrective lenses. I think at one point she with the goggles of the corrective lenses, Jaymee said something like only Steris could turn occupational health and safety into a burn.
She takes it very seriously.
Yep.
Okay, and then so he asks her about, or rather, Mariside brings up that when she pulled this spike out of the dude, he started talking like Miles. He's talking about the ash falls coming again, and Wax is like, that can't happen. That the land just doesn't work that way anymore. The ash mounts are either non-existent or stilled. There isn't the tectonic activity to cause another ash fall.
Ash falls do not work that way.
Yeah, basically.
You've got Trell down there just going, well, we turned it off. Maybe I can turn it on again.
And you just gotta flip the switch. It's fine. And so he's gonna use spectroscopy to basically like on CSI or NCIS when they use the mass spectrometer. But
GIF, why isn't the image getting clearer? That's all the resolution we have. Making it bigger doesn't make it clearer. It does on CSI Miami.
Yeah, well. So, yeah, you burn little flakes, and based on the light that's given off, basically, you can tell stuff about composition. But apparently, when you do this with Trellium, it turns out weird. Well, also, when you do it with Harmonium, we find out. But so basically, it's giving off a reading as if there's a little bit of everything in here. Wax explains that each element has a signature represented by wavelengths, but this metal projects the full spectrum as if it's just made of pure white light. And yet somehow, along with all of the full spectrum of light, the red jumps off the scale, which isn't possible. But Harmonium does something similar. So it just kind of confirms that this appears to also be a god metal, because it does weird shit that makes no sense. And so then they're going to move over to the safe box, which is a reinforced box built into the back wall that can withstand. It could take a grenade without trouble, he says. It had even handled an et metal water explosion. You have to keep et metal in oil as it tends to react even to the air. So yeah, that's bad. And so Marisai, as they're doing this, is looking at sort of his notes and the research that he's been working on, and she realizes that you've been trying to divide Harmonium, create Adium, and Lerasium too, which, yeah, if you're trying to divide Harmonium back up into the other god metals, a little bit of both is going to be in there, presumably.
I guess it's like, yeah, are they really going to test the Atium first? Because, like, you need to find someone who specifically is a misting for it, which, like, that's a hell of a dice to roll. And then you just wasted your Atium.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if he gets that Lerasium, like you say, it's like, well, then he can just test it.
Yep.
And the worst part would be, like, he separates them, but they're not pure, so then he gets poisoned to death.
Yeah, no, that would be bad. Yeah, I mean, who's going to try to burn this stuff if he does make it?
That's, you know what we need? We need Steris Mistborn. That's what we need. That's what the world needs.
Yep, I can get behind that. And Mary says, like, how have you not told me all these years what you're trying to do? I thought you were trying to, like, make airships, and that's why you kept needing et metal, like everybody else. And Wax is just like, I mean, I haven't made any progress, so that's why I never told you, basically. And it even says that, like, he took all his research to the scientists at the university or whatever, and they were just like, yeah, that's nice. Like, everything that he's found, they already found. So, and then Steris calls out, it's like, you got to come take a look at this. The Trellium spike is reacting to the Harmonium, which is a hell of a dramatic little moment to switch chapters on, which is, of course, why he did that. And then we cut back to Wayne, who is ducking in an alley to get away from the bowler hat guys, which I was kind of, and we'll get there eventually, but I was kind of shocked that you guys bought into the, like, Reddy's assumption that these guys were, like, coming to try to collect a debt from Wayne. And you guys are like, oh man, his businesses must have gone south or whatever. And just when I got here in the book and they said that, I was like, no way, no, he's super rich, and these guys are actually after him to get him to actually pay attention to his financial empire or something. There's no way he's suddenly in debt after subtly building up his wealth in the background in these stories for so long.
I assume he was in debt, but I assumed he was just pissing away his money and they were trying to, and something was up with it. Wayne's never struck me as someone who makes good financial decisions, so I could totally see him, like, losing all his money.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah. You know, I think I was actually on the side of they were just like, I guess I just didn't have the thought that accountants were going to chase him down, but I didn't think they were menacing until he says, like, to Marisai, they won't bother him again. Like, that made me think, like, oh, he knows who these guys are, and it's not just like that I thought maybe they were after him because he welched on something, a debt or something, or he stole something. But it's like, no, when he said they won't bother Reddy again, my thought was, oh, these guys are after him for something like not great. So I think that's kind of why I was dissuaded from thinking that it was just because he had lots of money,
Yeah, no, I get that.
I honestly toyed with the thought after we recorded. It's like, maybe he's actually in trouble with the mob or something. Like maybe like not the set, but like just some other criminal organization out there that he's just screwed over, and they were out for payback or something.
That seems more likely. Yeah, that could happen. I could see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wayne has decided that today is a funeral, and he's always got these weird takes on everything. So I'm just at this point, I'm just like, okay, I'll roll with it. Whatever you say, dude.
Sure.
And he's going to meet, as we find out, Renette and Jaxie, her girlfriend, at a place called the Drunken Spur, which is apparently kind of a fancy, upscale, expensive restaurant with a Ruffs theme, which both Wayne and Renette seem to find like deeply unsettling, or like as people who are actually lived a large part of their lives in the Ruffs, if not originated in the Ruffs, they seem kind of offended.
Yeah, this is basically the reaction of an Australian when you take him to Outback Steakhouse and serve them Fosters.
That's great. Good to know.
That is your comparison.
Yeah, it's a good.
Next time Dak visits
I like that.
the U.S., we're going to Outback.
I'll take him Outback.
I'll stay home.
He's like, I don't have to go to that. Yeah, I would say the equivalent is when somebody from Texas goes to the Texas Roadhouse, but I actually really like Texas Roadhouse, and it's good, so it's not really equivalent at all. It'd probably be like the equivalent of trying to have like Texas barbecue in another country, though, because I think I have done that once, and it was an awful mistake.
Yeah. It's basically going to any restaurant that purports to have some kind of dish or culture or ethnicity, and it's not run by someone with that background. Yeah. It's like this.
Yeah.
Like on the at best it's crass. At its worst, it's actually just outright like offensive.
Yep.
Actually, like that was one of the things I was most excited about when last time I was in America was we went to a Mexican restaurant where the food was like the food and the cooks, everything would like genuinely had a Mexican background. And I was like, oh, I am here for this. I want to try the real shit. Because we don't get a lot of that down here because obviously that's kind of far away.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You're much closer to Thailand than Mexico. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Even we get a weird thing here that's called Tex-Mex. It's not Mexican food, and it's not, it's like a weird combination thing.
I think we have that.
Tex-Mex, yeah.
It's like locally.
And Wayne, okay, this is where we start getting into the more annoying Wayne, where I felt sorry for him in these chapters pretty heavily up till now. When he comes in, the guy asks for his hat, and he takes the bell as insurance for the return of his hat, which that part I don't mind as much. It's when he leaves the restaurant, returns the bell, takes his hat, and then takes the guy's cufflink also as like a penalty for how dare they take my hat and give me this broken bell in exchange.
Yes, they gave you the bell.
So yeah, that goes a step beyond trading into just he's like charging tax on his trades or something, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah. And also the belt did work. It's just he wasn't using it properly.
Yep. So we've got Renette and Jaxie, who are very different types.
She seems lovely.
Jaxie seems very lovely with her white blonde hair and diamond barrettes. She likes sparkles, it says. She is very upbeat and sweet and just like bubbly, and Renette is not.
Yeah, she's the real kind of girl I hate.
The ones that shoot you?
No, the bubbly kind.
Oh, you'd rather have the girl that shoots you. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'd rather have the sarcastic, embittered shrew.
And Wayne just walks in, sits down, and thumps his head down on the table. And Renette's like, oh, delightful. Drama. Whereas Jaxie's like, Wayne, are you all right? And Renette's just like, no, don't humor him.
I did have to wonder, it's like, so does Wax never get invited to these dinners?
I guess not.
Like... Because, I mean, they were all friends back out in the Ruffs, like way back when. It's like why does he never get invited? In fact, Renette always liked Wax more than Wayne, which wasn't a whole lot, but it was something.
Right.
So,
yeah.
It seems weird that Renette agrees to keep having dinner with this guy and bring her girlfriend around this guy considering the relationship they used to have. And fortunately, Jaxie is just a lovely person and goes along with it.
I feel like Renette probably does a lot of business with Wax. Like Wax in the previous books we've seen, like keeps getting stuff to test from her. So they may interact in a different way regularly.
Yeah. Also, you know what? Just to be fair, everything doesn't have to be about Wax. He doesn't have to get invited to everything.
That is true. It just seemed odd to me.
This one thing is for Wayne,
and
as opposed to all the other things that are also for Wayne.
Renette's not great at cheering people up or anything, but her approach is, do you remember that time you got literally ripped in half by a cannonball? And Wayne's like, oh yeah, that was something.
Who the fuck had a cannon in like the roughs?
Right? I'm like, who were they fighting that had a cannon and aimed it and got Wayne right in through the midsection?
Yeah, I feel like if you're close enough to a cannon to... Actually, no, those things can do pretty like massive damage at range, so what do I know?
And Jaxie's just like,
maybe they were
hurt?
Pirates.
Ruff's pirates.
Oh, they've got like a pirate
yeah.
ship, but instead of a ship, it's a tank.
Pirate tank.
Okay. Pirate tank. Yeah, I like it.
They were out in the Ruffs before cars, so I don't think that
Yeah, you're right about that. Land sea lions. I tamed them.
I tamed them, yes.
Oh, okay. No. It's there were giraffes out in the Ruffs, yeah?
Yep.
Giraffe drawn chariot tank thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like
I'll go for it.
Like a souped up version of like a trebuchet or something.
Yeah. Like the giraffes just pull it around. There's a cannon hanging out the front. Wayne was trying to he was actually trying to do the bit where he pretends he's a woman lost in the desert and he wants like them to pick him up and they'll take him where they need to go, and they're just like, yeah, fuck that, and shot him.
Yep, good, all good.
And Wax is just like, oh man, I can't believe he talked me into this.
Wayne's response to "Did it hurt?" is like, well, not as much as you think. I think my body was kind of confused. Not every day you're in two pieces. And Renette says, fortunately, his metal minds were on the piece with his head. Otherwise, I also, whatever situation this was, apparently Renette was there. So I don't know. Maybe it was Renette's cannon. Who knows?
Yeah, she was testing a cannon, and she really should have started a story. You remember when I shot you with a cannon that one time?
They were actually just on the firing range, and Renette's just like, hey, Wayne, I want to try out a new gun that I've made. Like, do you mind getting shot? And, Wayne gets off on that kind of thing. He says he likes women who beat you up, so he says, oh, yeah, beauty, I'm going to stand the other end of the range. And then Renette just wheels out a cannon, and Wayne's gone, might regret this.
Yeah. And she's like, just make sure your metal mind's like, attached to the upper part of your body.
And Wax is just like, did you actually need to test that? And Renette just went, nope, made me feel better though.
Nah, I knew it worked. It's fine.
And then we get Renette and Wayne commiserating about like, oh, this place is so awful, like those outfits. And Wayne's like, I know, who thinks a Ruff's themed restaurant is a good idea? To be authentic, you'd have to have only stew on the menu, and then when people order it, you'd be out of stew and give them beans.
It's true.
And so apparently they keep coming here because Jaxie likes it. And I love that Renette, the super rough and really kind of cruel woman, is like, oh, my girlfriend really likes the place, so we'll go.
I mean, why else would you go someplace?
And Jaxie says to Renette, like, oh, about Wayne, like, he's one of your oldest friends. And Renette's response is only because he can't die, which is probably true. Yeah. Not that he can't die necessarily, but just like if he could die as easily as most people, he would not be around.
Yeah.
And if she comes out and goes like, you know what, actually, I'm kind of proud of you, Wayne. You're handling this in a relatively mature way. And he goes, this is mature? And she said, well, relatively. And then Renette's like, I mean, I'm supposed to say, like, you'll find somebody better, right? But probably not true. I don't think you can find someone better than a faceless immortal. So and Jaxie's like, dude, stop. And so Jaxie's trying to comfort him. And I love Wayne's like, you're a good friend, Jaxie, even if you have terrible taste in women. And Renette goes, hey, you chased me for the better part of 15 years. And he's like, yeah, and how's my taste on average? And she has nothing to say to that. Like, oh, this is supposed to be a friendly meal, dude. That was mean. And so apparently they've been having dinner for years. And she's like, you've never hit on me once. You've really grown.
Yeah, you haven't done this shit thing means you're a good person. It's like, no, that's actually the bare minimum.
She didn't say it meant he was a good person. She said it meant he had grown.
Yeah, she just said he's
that's
grown.
fair.
I know. I'm shit stirring.
And here and the day where he has to deliver the money is coming up, and this is when they're like, oh, and it's like, Wayne, we've been meaning to talk to you about this actually. And she's like, why? Jaxie says, why do you insist on seeing her in person? And Wayne tries to say, like, she enjoys punishing me. And Jackie's like, I mean, does she really? Like, I've never known anyone as good as getting into other people's heads as you. How would you feel if you were her? And Renette's thing is, he's got the self-awareness of a half-eaten sandwich. He's not going to be able to get this. And he doesn't want to think about it that way. And Jackie's like, I know that you can do this. You can see this from her perspective. And he's just like, I'm leaving. I've lost my appetite. I got to go. And this is when Renette gets that line. It's like, he might not be as bad as I pretend, but he's not as good as you want to pretend either. And Renette probably has the most accurate view of Wayne. She's mean, but I don't think she's wrong necessarily.
And I really don't think she's being all that mean. I think she's just a blunt person. I think we know that about her almost from the get-go. Like, that's just how she talks. It's like, it's like, no, he's not as bad as I say, but he's not as good as you think.
Except that really he kind of is, because he does succeed. It takes him a minute. He doesn't want to do it, but he eventually does look at it as Jaxie is proposing, and he realizes that she's right. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Renette doesn't have the most accurate view, or maybe Wayne's just grown more than even that she's given him credit for.
But part of this also comes down to things which I think for so long Wax just didn't do, was Wayne needed someone that he respected enough to listen to actually make this case to him, so that he would take it on board. Yeah,
and I wish that like Wax or Marisai had these conversations with him earlier and gotten him to listen, but
I feel like Marisai would try earlier and it just wouldn't quite sink in. So,
and I think Wax is such, to an extent, maybe not anymore, but to an extent, Wax is somebody that will kind of just let himself be tortured by his past and his demons. That he's not one that's going to step out of that and be like, Wayne, you shouldn't do that anymore. You're hurting her. Like, because in his mind, he understands where Wayne's coming from when Wayne's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably not thinking on it in as deep of level as Renette and Jaxie are.
I feel like we've seen Wax hint at this before. He's like, I mean, Wayne, you don't really have to take the money yourself. Like, he's kind of tried to touch on it, but we've never seen him get into it with Wayne about this. And I think probably Wax just doesn't think he'd listen. That's hard to say. But anyway, Wayne rushes out of the restaurant. He doesn't want to listen to this. And he runs right into those two bowler hat guys who are apparently just wandering the town looking for him. I don't know. And they say what is to me the most unbelievable line in the book, because I'm just like, this is not something anyone would ever actually say. This is something Brandon put in here to make a dramatic moment or whatever, where the guy is like, you have far too much money. I'm like, no accountant is ever going to say that.
Yeah.
I mean, what he says next, where he's like, we got to talk about your investment strategy. Your lack of diversification is a crime. That is the kind of thing they would say. They're not going to be like, you have too much money, man.
I guess they just needed to be a shorthand for why they were so intent on just catching him, and that was the easiest way to say it.
Yep. Okay, so we cut back to the crew back at the mansion doing some tests. Trellium and Harmonium seem to repel each other like magnets, like magnets with the same charge, which is kind of fascinating. But also the Trellium moves when Wax just burns steel. He doesn't even use it to push. He's just burning it, and that causes the Trellium to move away from him. So it has this like inherent reaction to push away from, I don't know if it's specifically like investiture associated with Scadrial or with Harmony, which, because, Allomancy is associated with preservation. Preservation's part of Harmony. So maybe the Trellium just reacts to that, or maybe the Trellium would react to any other investiture. Like maybe if an Elantrian was here drawing Aeons, then the Trellium would do the same thing. I don't know. And Steris says, this is actually really useful. And Wax immediately thinks, like, here, a mechanical way to see if someone is using Allomancy. This is like having a seeker in a box, basically. And the closer you get them together, that you try to push them together, the more they repel each other, again, like magnets. And so here's where he's thinking, like, I'm going to have to talk to Harmony. I don't like it, but I got to finish what I started. So, and here comes Alec with some more baked goods. In this case, as Joe said, I think he's made chocolate chip cookies. Wax describes them as chocolate biscuits that are unlike Ellendale biscuits, which tend to be very hard. These are all soft and gooey, and he's a big fan.
Yeah. There's nothing else for it. That's a chocolate chip cookie. That's what he's describing.
But we learn from Alec that another rule that you have to follow with Et Metal is not to have too much in one place or weird things start happening. Which just begs the question where they're getting the stuff from. Like, you can't be mining it in big veins of it if having a bunch of it in one place causes things to happen. So
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it sounds like Wax at least is getting a lot of his from the Chondra.
I thought that he was I thought he was getting it through Marisai from like the south, because Marisai's like, you didn't tell me why. I thought you kept needing more and more of it because you were building airships.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's right. I thought for some reason in my brain I thought he talked to Vendel about it, but maybe you're right. Maybe it was Marisai that he's talking to.
Which is, it's also kind of weird. It's like, all right, if this is Harmony's metal, why is none of it in the area where Harmony's most active, and it's all down in the southern continent, which Harmony didn't really seem like he had much to do with?
Well, I had that same question when I got here, and the only thing I can think is that we remember where Adium appeared, right?
Pits of Hathsin.
Pits of Hathsin, and we also know from the Sexy Drifter that down in the Pits of Hathsin somewhere was the perpendicularity that was used for interstellar trade coming through Scadrial, right? Because he says that when Kelsier destroyed the pits, he upended a whole mercantile ecosystem.
Yeah.
So my guess is that Harmonium is located near Harmony's perpendicularity, and that he didn't want the perpendicularity close to the basin because he didn't want his people going out into the universe before they were ready for it or whatever.
Which, again, but like, it seems weird that Sazed would just like, all right, I don't want any of my people to go out into the Cosmere. What about all these other people that are right next to where you actually stuck it? Ah, fuck those people.
Yeah, and that's another question. I don't know if it's really close to them or if it just happens that they explore more and so they found it.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's a good point. Was that
But
math?
yeah, that was my guess at this point.
There's really not a lot of place names down that way. All right, never mind. Moving on.
Yeah, the map doesn't have like detailed information on the south. We talked about that a little bit last time, or not last time, but when we first looked at the map.
Yep.
And then somebody's coming down the stairs, and Wax pulls out some bullets ready to attack whoever comes in with his magical powers, and it's Vendel. And I love that it describes him as the type of person whose entire being screamed, "I fact check people's jokes."
Wax, you are married to one such person.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
So don't be casting stones. You live in a glass house there.
Yeah, bro, you better watch it.
But Vendel brings with him an interesting thing. He has a note that was found at the place where they captured those members of the set earlier today. And he says that Lemar recovered it before the investigating constables could notice. And Marisai's like, wait, you have Chandra amongst the constables? And Vendel says, I mean, yeah, several. And she says, who? And Vendel says, well, I mean, so-and-so for one, Cassaloo, whatever. And Marisai's like, well, I had lunch with her last week. And he says, yeah, she keeps an eye on you.
She likes you.
She didn't tell me. And he's like, I mean, should she have? Like, he doesn't understand why this is an issue. But, Chandra have a different outlook on stuff. And so Alec tries to get him to eat a cookie. And Vendel's like, ugh, how horrible. I've told you, Master Alec, I'm a carrion feeder and strictly carnivorous.
Okay, dude, if you don't like someone's cooking, that's one thing, but you don't then have to just like tell them it's shit to their face. You say it's like, oh, look, it's just not my thing. Like, that's all you got to do. Don't be shitting on a dude's bacon.
Yeah. How horrible was a little far. I mean, being like, hey, look, I only eat meat. That's a good enough explanation.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like if somebody's vegetarian, they're like, oh no, I don't want the steak. I'm vegetarian. Okay, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Your food is bad and you should feel bad. That's what Vendel's trying to say.
Basically. And then Vendel offers Alec some money for one of his masks. He's like, yeah, we've been talking about you guys, and we've decided that like the mask it's just as integral to who you are as your hair or nails. Practically, it's part of your skeleton. So do you happen to have any for sale? And Alec's like, you're an odd man, yeah? And Vendel says, well, I'm not a man at all, but whatever.
This guy is like, I like him, but he cannot read the room.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on not a very long limb here. Vendel's a creep.
I think we had that talk when he was in the last book. He's just like, man, this guy's like, yeah, so can I have your bones when you die? Like,
yeah.
I've got Breeze's hands. Why?
Why do I need to know that? I don't need to know whose hands you have. Come on, man.
Why are you making it weird, dude?
he gets like a little bit of an attitude when Wax basically tells him, like, you can't take this Trellium spike. I need to study it. And he says, unfortunately, I have no intention of recovering it, so we won't get to see if you could actually prevent me or not. And I'm just like, this is a bold statement here.
You're in his room of explosions. Like, he'll punch you into that safe box at the end of the room, just lock the door and leave you there for a while, see how you like it.
And so here's the part that we talked about earlier where Vendel says Palm's actions had nothing to do with the Trellium spike. I mean, maybe that exacerbated her ailment, but it was a direct result of her decision to remove one of her spikes. And Wax says, well, Harmony implied otherwise to me. And Vendel is just like, so yeah, what are you doing over here?
The Kandra are liars.
I mean, their whole life is pretending to be some like other people. Yeah. That's kind of their thing.
Her existence is deception and shame.
And in the meantime, Wax has on the electrical heater, basically, the thing that heats stuff even hotter than the other one, he's got some harmonium set up. And he says this is the closest that we've ever gotten to dividing harmonium up. And Vendel says you can't divide harmonium as long as harmony remains harmony.
Of course, he just goes, I've explained this. And I was like, yeah, we've already established you're a fucking liar, so...
No joke. And so he heats up the harmonium, and then the machine pulls the superheated nugget apart because it's all soft. It's not quite melted, but it's getting real malleable. And as you stretch it, something interesting starts to happen that they're noting. One side starts to look one way, and the other side, like as they describe it, the side on the left takes on some of the aspects of what they've been told Lerasium looks like, and the side on the right starts to turn into looking like a little bead of Adium. And Steris says it's almost like it wants to divide, and that it's like it's arranging itself to divide. And Wax says, I think this is why Harmonium is so unstable. Harmony has trouble acting because his aspects work against each other. And Vendel's like, no, he's in equilibrium. There's a difference. And Wax says, I'm increasingly certain we face a god who isn't hindered by that kind of equilibrium. Whoever Trell is, we got to do something. We cannot wait for Harmony. And so Wax is thinking, we know that the Trellium pushes against the Harmonium, pushes against investiture from Harmony in general. So what if we stretch it apart to this point where it's almost two different metals, but if we divide it normally, then when it cools, you'll just have two pieces of Harmonium. What if we use the Trellium to try to divide it while it's at its furthest point, when it's almost these two different metals? And Alex what are the chances that this blows up? And Steris goes, I mean, considering that there's Harmonium involved, incredibly likely.
Yeah, we're probably going to blow up a little bit. It's fine.
And Wax is like, it's just a little piece. How much energy could there possibly be? Which that's just asking for trouble when you say shit like that. And Alex is like, so I think that we should all go far away, right? And Wax says, it's fine. I'll rig it up on a timer. We'll all go upstairs. It'll all be good. This basement's super reinforced. We're putting it in the explosion box. It's good. And Marisai's like, I mean, we could just have the Conjure do it. They're basically indestructible.
He's just like, hey, wait the fuck a minute.
He's like, basically is infinitely distant from completely, Miss Combs. So I believe you have a corpse for me.
Which, this is great. I can't wait to see him working out in the field rather than being mission control.
Right? Yeah. And so as we close the box up, Wax sets a timer, and we're like, so what about that note? And Marisai talks about the masked figure that we saw earlier, and she must have left this note. And what the note says is, we are watching Marisai, and we are impressed. And it has a symbol at the bottom with 3 interlocking diamonds that looks vaguely familiar, but Wax does not think he's seen the symbol before.
Creepy.
Wait for the X-Files theme to kick in.
And so Wax asks Vendel if he's seen the symbol, and Vendel says, that is a question I am forbidden to answer. Forbidden by Harmony himself. I suggest you speak to him directly. And then Alec makes some statement about Harmony being a false god, and everyone kind of glares at him. And then while they're not doing anything else, Vendel's like, hey, Wax, have you reconsidered selling me? Nope, not for sale. My bones are not for sale. You can't blame a person for inquiring. Such a fine skeleton. And then the explosion shakes the whole building. Chandeliers rattling, a window cracking, dishes falling. And Marisai's like, geez, they probably felt that in the next octant. And Alex says, well, at least we planned for it this time, right? And then Steris has a line that I don't feel sounds like Steris. I feel like they gave Marisai's line to Steris here. He's always playing for an explosion around Wax. It saves a ton of effort. I don't think we've ever seen her call him Wax before.
Yeah, like that does seem like a Marisai line, especially like it saves a ton of effort. Like for
Yeah.
some reason, I don't see Steris using the word ton,
Yeah,
or not in that slang term at least.
agreed. But that's the end of this chapter. Wax pulls open the door. He's going to go down the stairs, and we switch back to Wayne for our final chapter, where he is at Call and Son and Daughters Accounting and Estate, which seems a weird name to me. Call and Son and Daughters. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I mean, it
And
doesn't
he-
roll off the tongue very well.
And he thinks of these guys as tall, boring guy and short, boring guy. And they're trying to convince him to have less risky investments. We recommend you a balanced portfolio. And Wayne's like, how much money have I got? And they say over 20 million.
It's like, honestly, if he's got that much money, it seems like he's in the perfect position to make some risky investments.
You're not wrong. I mean, you probably don't want all of your investments to be risky, but you know, they want to balance him out a little bit. And he goes, I told you to give it to people what don't have any houses. And they're like, yeah, and your affordable housing project was wildly successful. How you anticipated the impending subsidies is a stroke of. And he goes, what about that girl with the plugs in the walls? And it's like, oh yeah, I mean, the Miss Tarcell's electronic devices are at the forefront of your financial empire. Profits are astronomical. And Wayne's just like, you guys need girlfriends. And then they're like, oh, no, we both have girlfriends. Garricel's quite popular, I have to say. You have no idea how wild lady accountants can be. Why, the other night. And he's like, nope. Yeah, that's more information than any of us need, dude.
Also, like, let's just call him short, awkward guy, because short, boring guy, I don't think he's that anymore.
Apparently not.
Okay, it's like, do I want to know this? No. Am I bored? No.
And so Wayne finally is like, okay, he realizes he's going to have to deal with this. Give me one of those hats so he can get into the mindset of a money guy. And he doesn't have a last name, so they have written down Terrace Bourne as his family name, which that's kind of interesting. I never really thought about whether Wayne had a last name before, I guess.
I guess we assumed he must have had one, but maybe he just forgot it after he ran away,
Yeah.
after his parents died.
Or there may be a lot of family in the roofs that just didn't have them.
Yeah.
And while he's looking at this, he's like, you got my Bendeloy, right? And they bring out a giant sack of Bendeloy, enough to buy 2 or 3 cars, it says.
It's like, why is he stealing it from the fucking police station then? He's got heaps of it.
Because it's Wayne.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what I think this kind of goes back to where earlier Marisai's like, I'm so proud of you, Wayne, for like conserving what the department gives you. And it's just, no, he takes his allotment from the department, but he has his own. So he's not conserving at all. And she just thinks that he is. And she's like, I'm so proud of you.
I never thought about it that way.
And so he pulls out of his pocket a flyer for recruiting for the boys for a local noseball league.
Noseball?
And he does say before the end of the chapter that they should change the name, which is I agree.
Yeah, like, how'd you even get it to start with? Football and handball makes sense because that's the part of the body you hit the ball with. Who the fuck is smacking a ball with their nose?
Maybe it's all the rage, the nose hitting.
Yeah.
Do they have
They've all
like
got broken
smashing.
noses.
No, it's like that's my
Actually
point. You
have
break
nose
your nose, so
guards.
maybe they have to run around with these like metal nose guards on all the time.
Could be.
Yeah.
And so Wayne's plan is to create a citywide league of like professional noseball. They're going to build stadiums. They're going to equip them with professional equipment. They're going to set up each octant with their own team so that people can channel their hatred for other people in a controlled manner. And it takes a while for these guys to understand what he's saying until he's like, everyone can pick their favorite team and hate all the other teams in a right, proper way. And the guy's like, okay, so like local clubs, but on a citywide scale. And Wayne's like, yeah, I mean, people love their local teams, so we can do something good. We can charge people a bit to get in the door to, help pay for the stadium, the arenas or whatever. Everyone enjoys something more when they have a monetary stake in it. And now that they're figuring out how to make money off of it, they're like, oh, okay, no, this is an idea. Monetization of the rivalries between the octants. We shall put our best people on this. And he's like, nah, put your worst people on it. They'll know more about loafing.
Which, can you imagine that conversation? It's like, yes, now Mr. Wayne Terraspawn has personally requested you for this assignment. Oh my god, he must have such faith in me. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. He has faith in something.
He did say, he said you're really good at one thing. And that was the kind of thing he was looking for. So yes, in that way, he has faith in you.
And I like, in his head, he's thinking, this is the idea that will finally bankrupt me, right? This is a stupid idea. I can't let Wax, or even worse, Marisai, find out that I'm rich. I'd never hear the end of it.
Wax knows. In the last book, he said, like, oh yeah, Wayne's like the richest guy in town or something.
Well, I think it was the book before that where he's just like, I mean, you're super rich. You got all that aluminum from us capturing the Vanishers, because we got a big reward from that. I don't know that he knows that Wayne invested in any way and that he can just spend it all on something.
Oh, I could have sworn he mentioned something about Sophie Tarcell in the last book as well.
I don't recall that, but you could be right. I might have just forgotten.
Hmm.
And so now they're like, okay, so there's other stuff that we want to talk to you about. What about the provisions of your trust? We'd like to talk about the more unusual ones you've made.
Wait, hang on, go back. There's the bit where like he talks about, now let's discuss the beating of servants and how it's not so bad for them. And one of the guys says like, should we really be looking into that? And Wayne's like, no.
They're like, do you really want us to investigate using more corporal punishment on your staff? And Wayne goes, nah, being in the army stinks. Corporal. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Wayne. But this part frustrated me to no end, where they're like, we want to talk about the unusual provisions in your trust. He's like, nope, next. I'm like, but I want to know. And they're like, your current housing situation? Nope, next. I'm like, but I want to know where he's living. Like, come on. Have you yet confirmed with Waxillium that he understands he signed away likeness rights to you in that deal? Nope, next. What deal? Why does Wayne have Wax's likeness rights?
I guess for maybe like some stories in newspapers or something, and they're gonna like make art.
Wayne's a cartoonist now.
Yeah, or he's not, but he's hiring somebody to write stories about them.
Yeah. What deal did Wayne convince Wax to sign without reading and understanding it?
No, you know what it is. He's gotten someone to ghostwrite their adventures in the roughs in the style of Alamancer Jack, and Wax has no idea. And Wayne is gonna because he'll have final approval of the product. He'll read the story and it's gone, nah, not enough like boneheaded decisions from Wax where I come in and save the day from his incompetence. Like, we need to go back and fix this. And the writer's like, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Anything you say, Mr. Terraceborn.
And then we find out that Wayne has a fleet of cars, and there's a new car out. Don't you want that new one too? It has no top. You could drive and spit into the wind if you wanted. And he's like, damn, that's nice. Get me one of those.
Yeah, they know Wayne.
Oh, gosh. And so here is where he finally, he's thinking about what Jaxie said, and he starts to try to get into Alriandri's head. And he understands instantly that what he's doing is not what she wants. And he tells the guy, I need you to set up a delivery for me, some money to be paid to a young woman every month. She has her own kids now. She needs the cash on time. And the guy's just like, oh, no, yeah, I get it. A lot of our clients have stuff like that they need to do. Just we'll handle it with discretion. And the guy's like, and Wayne's like, why is he saying it that way? He doesn't realize that this guy thinks that this is his mistress and maybe his illegitimate child that he's trying to steal money to. And that's the end of our chapters. So it's
I hadn't actually put together that that's what the guy thought.
Apparently, a lot of their clients
immediately when he's like, "Oh yes, we have a lot of clients with similar needs. We'll handle it with discretion." As soon as you say similar needs and discretion, it's like, "Oh yeah, mistress."
I must have just been having a bonehead. I was too far in Wayne's head. Like, I was also just completely missed the implication there.
So yeah, we've had some interesting stuff. Let's get into predicaments, and I think one thing that you guys absolutely have to predict is what's going to be the result of that explosion in the basement, since that's clearly where we're going to be going next. But other than that, what do you have? Where are we going with this story? What's happening next?
I hadn't thought about what the explosion's going to be, but fuck it, let's call it a perpendicularity that's just opened up in his cellar.
There's going to be dudes just strolling in from the Shadesmar or whatever.
It's like at the door they set up like a passport desk, and Alec just checks people in as they come through. And it's like, and what is your business on Scadrial?
Okay, I want that now.
I don't know. Okay, so I don't have a lot of small predictions, but I've got a big one. Like I said, I put together sort of a mini story in my head of things, so I guess I'll just jump straight into that. So this is all about Trell and what he's after. So let's start with the reason I think Trell is here. Trell was following Hoyd across the Cosmere.
Oh.
He's got a grudge on Hoyd, and he somehow found out that the guy likes to hang out on Scadrial. So he's just like, oh, beauty, I know that place. That's where my old friend Ruin set up shop. I'll go down and maybe we can hunt Hoyd together. And then he gets there and he finds Ruin's gone, and instead there's this guy Harmony in his place. And he's like, well, what the fuck? So he decides, all right, I'm going to take this place over in the memory of my friend whose planet this actually was. Hoyd clued into that, so Hoyd started subtly arming Wax, Harmony's top agent, against Trell and like foiling all of Trell's plans. Now Trell is frustrated. He's like, all right, fuck it. I'm going to do what Ruin wanted and blow this place the fuck up. And that's why his plan has stuff like the Ash Mounts and Civil War and everything and all the stuff that Ruin was exploiting to try and blow the place out. He's trying to like do Ruin's work for him. And his reasoning is, well, if I blow this planet up, hopefully I'll take out Hoyd in the process. So that's what I think is happening. And here's where I think it's going. I'm probably hopelessly wrong in all of this, but I'm talking end of the book stuff. So just ignoring most of what we read anyway. Fuck it. Yeah, so let's fast forward to the end of the book, Trell and Harmony's confrontation, which is the god fight. Harmony obviously won't want to fight because that's not his thing. So Trell tries to push him into it. It ultimately just comes down to Trell misses his friend and blames Harmony for it, and he's lost sight of why he came here for Hoyd. Like he's actually just like pissed about the whole Ruin situation. So he's lashing out at Sazed because Sazed is the only one left who was directly involved. Or at least, that he thinks is the only one left. Because then, as they're fighting, all of a sudden, another faction's going to rock up. I think this is the faction who left a note for Marasite. I don't think it's the Malwish anymore. That note makes me think otherwise. I think this is Kelsier coming back. Because we know from the epilogue of the last book that Kelsier is... Well, I mean, we know from Secret History that Kelsier is out there, but he's got a vested interest in this place. So I think Kelsier is going to rock up when Sazed and Trell are fighting, and Kelsier will actually take Harmony's power to either kill Trell or boot him off the planet. And so in doing so, Sazed will die and Kelsier will take the Shard's powers and he'll have both again. So not just preservation, he'll have ruins as well. And then he's going to go and try and take Trell's power, but Hoyd is going to steal it first and just run off into the Cosmere. And so Kelsier, very single-minded guy, he's gonna pursue Hoyd just like Trell was doing, and then that's gonna set the scene for Era 3 of Mistborn. Scadrial has no shards at all. There are faceless immortals out there who God doesn't talk to them anymore. The Metalborn generations are sort of thinning out as the bloodlines dilute, and people are just like, what the fuck? Like any shard who wants to can just come and conquer this place. And then like the epilogue, because there's like 7 epilogues of this book.
Yep.
Yeah, like the last one is going to be a dog walking down to this cave. It's going to be 10 soon, and he just looks up at the most powerful man on the planet, says, all right, well, like everyone's like the shards are like Sazed is gone, the gods are gone. You're the most powerful man on the planet. You need to take control of this shit. And Marsh just goes, all right, fine, I'm going to lead my people. End of book.
Wow. This is a very interesting story you've come up with. I like how personal it is about Hoyd, and then about like my old buddy Ruin. I mean, he's gone.
I like the idea. It's like Trell has come to get Hoyd, but then in the process completely forgot that whole sort of things because he's so pissed off. And then at the very end, that comes back in because Hoyd just like, oh, yoink, see ya.
Hoyd has been hanging around this planet for a while, so
yeah,
being Wax's chauffeur for some reason.
Yeah. So I don't know where any of this story came from, but it just got the wheels started spinning in my head sometime this week, and I thought, oh, I like this. I'm probably hopelessly wrong, but I kind of like this anyway. So let's just run with it. Swing for the fences.
I like that you brought in this mysterious note that we got, because that was another thing I was going to ask you guys is, what do you think is going on with this? So you think that this is some sort of like team, like Kelsier has put together an A team and they have their own like logo and everything, and that's what that's about?
Yeah, well, and also like Wax says like, oh, I don't think I've seen that before, but it's familiar somehow. So I'm like, well, that's got to make it tied into Scadrial history somehow. I'm like, all right, maybe it's Kelsey's thing. Maybe it was in Death's book. Who knows?
I put the symbol in our chat if you guys want to look at it, and it may even look familiar to you for some reason. I don't know. Well, you can see.
That looks like the fucking Mitsubishi Cars logo.
You're not wrong. I don't think that's why it's familiar to Wax, though.
Wow, yeah, Mitsubishi car. Sweet.
Oh no, Kelsier is an auto empire guy.
It's actually this new car company that Wayne is investing in. It's going to be Mitsubishi, and they're behind the note. But this is a good story that you developed, and I want it to happen. I want us to follow along, and as we go through the book, every single point that Dak has brought up is going to turn out to be accurate.
No, it won't. Oh,
That'd
I'll
be
be
amazing.
lucky if I get one thing right out of the billion I've just thrown out.
Okay. No, I like how much thought has gone into this, that you just got this fully developed story in your head.
Thanks. It leaves out pretty much all of our actual main characters.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're right. It kind of does. They're all going to be like secondary players in this book somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming, like, obviously they will have to guide the conflict and everything, but yeah, it's just because, we're still so involved with Sazed and he's the holdover from the last books, like, yeah. Anyway.
Sazed and Marsh and Kelsier, they're all whole. Although we haven't actually seen Kelsier in person in Era 2, so who even knows if he's hanging around the planet any longer.
Yeah, true. How long ago was that memory that Wax saw? Do we know? I
don't think we know, but it seemed... I felt like the implication was it wasn't long after the catachondra, because they were all freezing to death from the cold of the planet having moved. And so if it was very long, I felt like they would have all died already, basically.
So that means he and Spook must have got to work pretty quickly then.
Right? That seems to me like
he rocked up still with a spike in the eye and everything, so they really kicked things into gear to get him back on the mortal plane.
Yeah.
And still get there in time to stop them freezing to death.
So yeah, that's what I assume. I guess we can maybe we'll get more information in this book.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Joe, what do you got?
My big prediction, I feel like I really had a whole big thing last week, and this week I don't have as much, except to say that another big prediction I have going forwards in the book, because the prologue's about Wayne, because Wayne's going through a lot, there's a lot of Wayne-centric development, and then specifically the mention of the trust that Wayne has going on. My guess is that by the end of the book, Wayne is going to have passed, that he will die in some way. Especially because they keep mentioning, I feel like they keep mentioning the metal mind thing and how it has to be like in a certain position or he could die.
Yeah, he comes up with that conversation with Renette. Yeah.
Yeah, true. And I think it was mentioned, I think Marisai mentioned it also before during their fight, like inside her head.
Because you had that moment where you're just like, this is a weird thing for her to be just thinking about. Like, you wouldn't actually be thinking this in the middle of this fight. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think these are little seedlings and little foreshadowings, especially since the prologue is about Wayne. I feel like Brandon's been making the prologues mean quite a bit in each of the Era 2 books. And so for that reason, I think there's enough foreshadowing kind of going on to warrant the idea that maybe Wayne is not going to survive all the way through this book. Either that, or if he does survive, he's going to like disappear completely. Maybe he'll go off world with Malon, but for whatever reason, he's going to leave and be gone. Maybe he fakes his death, whatever it is, so that whatever's going on with his trust will take place and things will be set in motion, and he'll have left like a vast empire behind for somebody else to take care of or whatever. That is what I'm guessing, just because of all the little nuggets of things that have been going on in the book so far about Wayne, that it's very possible that he won't make it through the book. That's probably the biggest thing I've got going on right now in my brain. I would still find it very interesting if Trell was actually still somehow a part of Harmony, but I feel like that theory holds less and less weight. I did find it interesting, and maybe this is the same with all the God metals and we just don't know, but I did find it interesting that like the Trell has the same, if you want to call it, magnetic charge as Harmonium. And so like me thinking about that, I thought, well, maybe there is something to the fact that they're actually two parts of the same thing, but I don't know for sure. It's a whole thing. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all I got this week.
I like this idea that and I agree, there seem to be like kind of hints, like definitely discussions about like points being brought up relating to potential death of Wayne. You called out foreshadowing in several places, and we're 23% of the way into this book, and we've got like 3 or 4 different instances of foreshadowing. But I like this idea that we're going to get foreshadowing of that, and then it'll turn out that like he faked his death and he's going off into the Cosmere with Malon. Because if you're gonna send somebody out there with the Chondra, Wayne is the perfect choice, right?
Sure, he can disguise himself.
He can disguise himself, pick up accents, pick up.
Yeah.
He'd be a great person to go out and kind of explore things.
We've decided Scadrial's ambassador to the Cosmere will be Wayne. That guy!
When you put it like that, it sounds like it might be a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna have somebody to rein him in. The only person better disguising themselves would be a Khandra or maybe Hoyd. We know he looks all sorts of weird different ways. So.
There's our two possibilities. Wayne's gonna die. Wayne's going to appear to have died and then fake his death. Or watch, it's all just one big boondoggle to draw you from the fact that like Wax and Steris die instead.
Yeah, they actually die, and then Wayne becomes the father of all the godfather of all those children.
Wayne has to take over raising Max and Tindwyl.
Maelon gets called back to act as the mother figure. She's like, what the
I'm gone for 5 minutes and this shit happens.
She's like, I did not sign up for this.
Okay. Well, speaking of future reading, which what's going to happen next, for next time, we're going to read 4 more chapters, and it's kind of a shorter number of chapters than we've been doing, but mostly because chapter 19 is about half of the total length of these 4 chapters. It's a longer chapter. So 17, 18, 19, and 20. And 19 is the last chapter of part 1 of the book, so we're going to move into part 2 next time.
Woo!
And that is part 2 of, I believe there are 5. Wait, let me check. Are there 3 parts? There's only 3 parts. There's 3 parts and the epilogues. So part 2 of 3. So 4 chapters for next time. In the meantime, we've run kind of long. I think I may do a couple of these emails, and we've got 2 new reviews and we've got 2 new patrons. So let's start with those before we move into. The first one is actually a 3-star review from Canada. So we'll go over it, but Joe doesn't have to hand out anything for this one.
No, you don't get the misting if you don't do 5-star. That's the thing.
So this one is from Rain Nay of Canada. It says, good discussions, 3 stars. Day 1 listener, and I really enjoyed the discussions from first-time readers. Have to take 2 stars away, though, because the host, Data, is a bit pretentious and sometimes, knowingly or unknowingly, creates narratives for the others to follow. He needs to moderate more organically without influencing the newcomers. Also, he's really bad at pronunciations.
Wow.
He's not, or he or she is not wrong that if you go by the audiobook, which many people do, I do not pronounce the names the same way because I never listened to the audiobook, so I have no idea how the audiobooks pronounce them. So all I have is the pronunciations that are in my brain, and that is why I say Marasai when I believe the correct pronunciation is Marassi or something like that. And Dak, you've listened to some of the audiobook, maybe you know.
No, the audiobook pronounces it Marasai.
Marasai, okay. And when we first started reading Era 2, there were several people very upset with how I pronounce it. And then because I pronounce it that way, you guys kind of took that on, regardless of what you thought the first time reading it through. I started saying it that way, so you guys just went with it. And
no, I'll say I can't speak for Jaymee, but definitely when we started reading Alloy of Law, I thought Marasai before you brought it up. So
good to know I'm not the only one, at least.
I thought Marassi myself. When you said Marasai, I was kind of like, oh, that's fine too. But
actually,
if somebody
Marassi, sorry.
Yeah, if somebody had told me Marasai, or what was the one you said originally, Data? Marassi. If somebody said,
I've heard that.
If somebody said Marassi to me, I'd be like, I'm sorry, you're wrong. That's not how you say that name.
So see, I don't even though I've heard some people say it, apparently I still didn't have the right one from the audiobooks. So I'm bad about that because, like I said, I've never listened to the audiobooks, so I've read these books for years, and I have how I've always said it in my head, which includes saying "sazed" instead of, as I think Dak mentioned earlier, that even Brandon says like "sazed."
But I mean, it'll happen with any book that you read.
Sure.
Ever. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, first time I read the Harry Potter books, I thought it was pronounced Hagrid, not Hagrid.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was Hagrid. I thought it was Hermione, and I thought it was Dumbledore.
So yeah, but I got a lot of flack when we first started reading this on like the Discord and stuff from people like, no, you're like breaking my brain saying it that way. Stop it. And I'm like, it's not gonna stop. I'm sorry. I've been reading these books too long to change my pronunciation now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Again, if you say Marassi, you're wrong.
I'm sorry, listeners, if it hurts you when I say them differently than how you've heard them or how you said them. But we all have our own thing.
Has Brandon released a statement on like pronunciations for his books at all? Because I know George R. R. Martin just does not give a shit. He's like, you come up with what's comfortable for you.
I've heard Brandon say.
I think we've had this discussion.
We
probably have.
I've heard Brandon say it's like there is a correct pronunciations. Like, for instance, when we were in the Final Empires when we discussed it, because those names are supposed to be like French-ish, and like Kelsier's name was actually like Kelsier or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But Brandon has always been like, you pronounce it the way that's comfortable, that makes sense for you, because even he says Kelsier. So even though he knows that's not the way it's supposed to be pronounced.
If the author is okay with you coming up with whatever pronunciation, I feel like anyone else should be.
But
sure.
Yes, sorry to our Canadian reviewer if it hurts when I say it wrong.
Yeah. But again, Marassi, you're wrong. Sorry.
So thank you for your review. The other one that we have is from Noah Sturba. This is a United States one. It says exactly what I was looking for. First time Sanderson reader, and this is exactly what I was looking for to supplement the reading of his books. Y'all are great fun, insightful. The only thing is, so far, I'm loving the first Mistborn so much, it's hard for me to only read 2 chapters at a time. Looking forward to following along with all that comes next. So this is somebody following along on the Final Empire. That's impressive.
Yeah, well, lucky for you. I mean, the show's been out long enough at this point that if you're in that first book, you don't have to wait. You can just read and listen and then read and listen. But
so Noah, it may be a long time before you get here, and you have no idea at that point even that we're doing this for reviews. But go ahead, Joe, give him a mistake.
Oh yeah. So that was a great review, man. You're gonna be one of my favorite names for a misting, and that is a smoker.
There you go. Smoke
Nice.
it up. Smoke them if you got them. Thank you both for your reviews. And I've always said, if you guys have any negative feedback that you want to give, any sort of feedback, I will always welcome it. As in this case, I may not always take it and make changes based on it, but I'm always happy to hear what people are thinking. So I can't. It's too late for me to change my pronunciations. Although I will say I have been working hard for when we get to Stormlight to try to pronounce them the way that they're supposed to be pronounced, because there's a couple of names in there that I have always said wrong, and that I'm like, I will try to fix them for when we get there. Like there's hearing random names shouldn't be a spoiler for you guys, but there's a guy named like Adeline, or that's how I pronounce it, and it's supposed to be Adolin, and so like I'm gonna fix that. There's a person whose name is I've always said Jasna because it begins with a J, but the J is actually supposed to make like a ya sound, so it's Yasna. And so I've been working recently in my brain on saying those as I'm reading through there in the way that they're supposed to be said, so that when the show gets there, it'll upset people less. So in contrast to what I just said about how I can't change, I've actually been trying a little bit.
Are these characters in book 1?
Yes,
of
they
Stormlight?
are. Yeah, they are characters in the first book of Stormlight.
Okay, cool.
Well, there you go.
Okay, and so we also have 2 new patrons. Let me bring up our patrons. We have 1 new patron at the Shard of Adonalsium level.
Look at you.
Also someone who recently joined our Discord as well, and I think also sent us an email that we're gonna potentially read here. So this person's getting a lot of play today.
Right.
It is pronounced, and the email gave me instructions on how to pronounce this, so I'll try to get it right. It is Aldhjad, I think.
Cool. All right. Well, say the name one more time for me.
Aldhjad.
Aldhjad. You're a wind whisperer. You store those senses.
So yeah, this is apparently it's a let me go back to the email and see if I can. Yeah, so it's a Czech name, and it's spelled here Aldchad, and they pointed out to me it's like there's no sound in English that sounds quite like our CH, but if you pull up Google Translator, you can hear it in there, and so that's what I did, and I believe that is how the pronunciation came across. So thank you, Aldhjad, for supporting us on Patreon. And the other one is a ska level backer, Sirius 3100. It's spelled like Sirius Black,
Sirius
not
3100.
like Sirius.
Yeah, that's another name in Harry Potter. When I first read it, I thought it was Cyrus. just because I'd never heard the name Sirius. So even though it had an extra I in there, I thought maybe it was pronounced Cyrus. But yeah, I would definitely say that you, Sirius, are a Sparker.
Okay. So then we have several emails, but I think maybe what we'll do is hit one or two of them, because this is actually a pretty long one, because we're running long today.
Yeah.
So this is the one that I mentioned. It's from Al-Hiyad, and it says, "Hi, hey, Dak, Jaymee, Master Joe, and Data." And then in parentheses, I guess it's clear who's my favorite. They like you, Joe, is what I'm taking from that.
They like me. They really like me, huh? Master. Wonder what kind of master I am. I'm definitely not a Jedi master. I wish. That'd be awesome.
You're maester, like in Final Fantasy X.
No, I don't want to be that either. Those guys are fucked up, man. They're dead guys trying to date all our live chicks.
First off, please excuse my English, as it's not my native language. Second, hey guys, I finally caught up. It took me about a month. I listen at work, but it's finally here, and what a crazy ride it was. So I've decided to celebrate by emailing. I would love to wholeheartedly thank you all for being so awesome. Your commentary and theories never fail to entertain, and at those times when you spot a plot twist coming from miles away, it makes me curse very profoundly, because for me, the twists are the best part of every Brandon book. But I'm aware that you're not all inclined to think the same way. When Jaymee first came up with her Lord Ruler is Rashek theory, I had to stop the car I was currently driving and breathe for a few minutes to calm myself down. Anyway, much as Quan, I find myself prone to ramble, so I will end this email with two, not entirely defenses, but maybe partially excuses for what are some of the best Cosmere characters, the Lord Mistborn and Wayne. Okay, maybe not Spook, but Wayne's definitely up there. It says, for Spook, I would like to offer my perspective on his little hemalurgy mishap. My first assumption always was that what he had in mind was something akin to organ donating. Sir, I'm sorry, but you're dying and won't see the light of morning. Would you be willing to pass your powers on so they don't die with you? I know it's still a bit icky, but if I was that guy, I'd probably say yes, even more so if I had some debilitating illness and wanted to be released from the shackles of my body. As for his book, I had a feeling that the copy given to Maricide by Marsh was the only copy, and the set discovered hemalurgy on their own. In my humble opinion, it's not the concept of hemalurgy that's evil, but the method that you choose to use it might very well be. But hey, like Master Joe will probably say, that's my opinion. Wrong, but my opinion. Okay, we'll pause there for a second. What do you guys think of this and the Spook hemalurgy?
Of all the things Spook has done that I disagree with and don't agree with, I wouldn't say the hemalurgy thing is at the top of my list. So his perspective on that is completely, it's an interesting take. It's valid. I don't know that we have really any proof that is the case. It's it's an interesting idea. But yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, that's not the worst thing Spook's ever done. So I'm not as concerned about that.
Okay. I don't know. I get where he's coming from. I guess we just don't have enough context around it. Like the organ donor thing sounds all right, but part of it is also like, it's kind of just, if they haven't already signed up for that, like, do they have a spiking provision written into their will or something?
Yeah, spike me up.
You've got a spike little symbol on your driver's license so they know that you're a donor.
Yeah. I also wonder, like, how quickly after death is that investiture leave? But it might be pretty instant.
Yeah, maybe it's like Kelsier's cognitive shadow hanging around. Like, the more you're invested, the longer it takes.
Yeah, like, quite possibly.
The shadow's just up there looking around. Says comes to greet him. It's like, all right, we're gonna move you on. He's like, hey, what are they doing to my body? Oh, don't look at that. Yeah. Is that a spike?
Don't. It's better if you don't.
Yeah, you don't want to see that. Look, you signed the contract, okay?
I wonder if you would see something like that. Like, does it affect the cognitive shadow if they start jamming a spike? Like, if that is your soul and they're ripping a part of your soul off with the spike, does that shadow like go, ow, that hurts? What the fuck?
Yeah, I would imagine that it's quite painful. They're probably like, oh god, I didn't realize it was gonna be like this. No.
Yeah. But we don't know for sure that the cognitive shadow is like your soul. That's just one theory.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, and then the next paragraph. As for Wayne, as was previously stated by someone, Wayne cannot help himself. And from what I get from him, he thinks all his trades are fair. Wax doesn't use this hat, so he won't mind if I take it. And as a bonus, I'll leave him this Rustin nice rat. Like Jaymee said, he doesn't understand the sentimental or monetary value as demonstrated by trading aluminum for a book in Alloy of Law. As for him ruining the wedding, yeah, kind of a git move. But in the end, it worked out, as you guys said. He maybe spared Steris from being humiliated. Still a get move, to be clear. And for his pursuit of Renette, again, he can't take a hint. Again, not saying he isn't being a creep there, but in my mind, it's still better than sneaking up on girls and analyzing their melancholies. Not saying Renette is completely okay with him being the way he is. On the other hand, if he got too far for her, I don't think even his mother, poor soul, would be able to identify the remains.
Yeah. You know, on a scale of badness, I am going to say Spook ranks higher for me than Wayne. So
yeah,
I will agree with him there for sure. Like, at least Wayne is funny, you know? Like, at least I laugh at dialogue that Wayne says, and we can revel in its absurdity. Spook is just a creep.
Again, I won't belabor this point, but to your first point about the trading and stealing stuff, being unable to help yourself is not a justification. End of story.
I mean, like, yeah. I mean, legally, maybe there's some sort of, like, you know, not competent to stand trial for this because of mental instability or something. But I agree that it's...
And again,
yes.
It's not helped by the fact that Wax just lets him get away with it for so long without taking him to task for it. Like, that's Wax enabling his behavior. So, but
yeah,
at the end of the day, I couldn't help myself. That does not stand up.
Okay, let's finish out this email. Anyways, this is a big wall of text. Data, feel free to summarize if you need to. I left you a review on Spotify, as evidenced by the photo, and they did send us, there's a 5-star review on Spotify, and it says because it just lets you do stars, but they say if you were able to write a review, it would say, charming host leads his flock of Cosmere lambs through the most perilous places of the Cosmere, from Sel and Scadrial to the jungles of Patji. Their theories range from frighteningly bad to frighteningly accurate, but they're always fun and entertaining. Cannot recommend enough. Now, I would like my misting and faring powers, please. Don't worry, I'm also a patron and didn't understand how those powers work. I know which ones I would like, but I will be grateful for any useful power. I'm sure there are lots of coin shots, steel runners, and sparkers spikes conveniently stored in set lackeys, and I don't think even Harmony himself would approve of them going to waste.
So this person's emailed, but they want the other
Those
stuff.
are 5-star.
Yeah, they did leave us a 5-star review on Spotify, so they can get
No, yeah, that's fine. Well, they didn't mention what they like, but I guess I've made a point of saying, well, you know, don't always get what we
Joe
want
doesn't
here.
care anyway. So.
I mean, I kind of care, but at the same time, I mean, who has the time? All right, so we've given you a faring power already, so now just a misting power, and hey, let's make you a coin shot like good old Wax. What could be better?
There you go. And they actually sent a second email following up on the first. This one's much shorter. Oh God, I was thinking, how could I have forgotten to congratulate Dak, Jaymee, and Joe on their respective babies? So once again, congratulations to you all. Hope you're doing well, including Data, and please keep the random baby noises in. It's so cute and always warms my heart to hear them, which is what I need in this cold season in Europe. From my understanding, it's pretty warm in Australia right now. Wasn't to the time of next, Colo.
Yeah, I mean, it was today. Last week was kind of shit.
Yeah. What is it? Are you guys almost in spring now?
No, man, spring's gone. We're in summer. I mean,
you're in summer now. Wow.
We're meant to be. We're fucking not, but we're meant to be.
That's funny because it's actually pretty warm here, considering we should be in the middle of winter. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Warm. There's earthquakes going on. It's all happening.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna stick with those emails. We'll get to somebody that you gave that was one of our patrons that you gave a power to, maybe in I think it was episode before last or last, I don't remember. One of the recent episodes also sent in an email. It's Carolina. So, but hers is also rather long. So we'll save yours for next time, ma'am. If anyone would like to send us emails, the address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. Clearly, we are. You can find us on Patreon, where I'm still posting on Tuesdays and Thursdays my reactions to the Lost Metal as I was reading it for the first time. I think yesterday's episode that came out was chapters 41, 42, and 43. So, I mean, we've already caught almost halfway up on this show to where I am in that. We're also on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all those various places online. So find us, leave us messages. As we established, I'm not that good about checking Instagram, but I promise I will try to get better about these things so that I'm not missing cool mentions of us places. Music by Miracle of Sound. Remember, 4 chapters for next time. We're going to finish out part 1. So, part 1's got to end on something interesting, right? Especially since that's the longest chapter of that may be the longest chapter in the book, actually. If not, it's very close. I think I think chapter 19 is the longest chapter in this book. So, that's the last chapter, part 1. Something good's got to happen, right?
Let's see the
Or
sparks
something really
fly.
bad. So, come back next time for that. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, patrons, for wanting to support the show. We really appreciate it. And you should get to see some concrete stuff pretty soon of what that money has been going towards if my plans work out like they're supposed to. Thanks, everyone, and wasing to the time of next. Colo?
Man, you know who could play Brandon in a biopic? Brendan Fraser.
Oh, totally. I could absolutely see that.
Yeah.
Not like the Mummy era Brendan Fraser, but like current day Brendan Fraser, yeah.
Yeah. Just like similar sort of facial structure, and even like just the manner of talking sounds similar to how Brendan's currently doing.
So there's our casting people for Brandon in the Brandon movie, which will just be called Brandon.